I don't think we've seen anything like this in our country since maybe 1968, when you had the country convulsed, with the Vietnam War and the assassinations of Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, and all the chaos surrounding the Democratic Convention that year. I mean, this is unlike anything we've seen, I think, since then. And if you add the layer from what's happening with the coronavirus, I think maybe it makes it unprecedented all the way. And the part about it that's maybe even more astounding, it seems to be no end in sight.
What is driving it, in your opinion, Michael? Is it George Floyd, or is it the wider issue of racism in the United States, or is it a whole bunch of things? Is it any one thing, or is it a few of them?
I mean, certainly the murder of Mr. Floyd was the spark, right? But I think once the fire was lit, so many other issues have come to the fore. I mean, you look at the coronavirus situation in the United States, and I think it's just illuminated kind of the racial inequities that existed in this country really since its founding. And despite many improvements and many changes through the years, that these gaps are still there. African Americans in this country are much more likely to die from the virus. They tend to be in these frontline jobs where they're exposed. And we have, as a group, poorer health care and access to good health care, access even to good food and clean air, things like that. Our neighborhoods have more pollution. So I think all of these things are coming together, sort of into this flame that was lit by the murder of Mr. Floyd, and even the imagery of the murder with the police officer's knee on his neck. I mean, I think that evokes, the horrible legacy of lynching in this country and that kind of thing.
So what changes at the end of all of this, Michael? Is it better conditions? I mean, what are the protesters after?
I think they keep saying they want to be heard, right? They want to be heard. They want the highest levels of corporate America and governmental America to respond to the inequities that we sort of take for granted. Many of us have a middle class life, and you look at people who don't, and sort of, you don't even see them. And I think they want people to be seen, and they want these inequities not to be taken for granted. I think that's what it is. And I think even at the beginning, I mean, that won't happen overnight, of course, but I think they want a show of empathy and some acknowledgement that, hey, these conditions, these are intolerable. This is the richest country on earth, and we could do better.
But what are your personal feelings in all of this, Michael? Are you ashamed of the police brutality against people, or are you encouraged by the show of support that you've received since then? I mean, how are you feeling about it all?
Hey, it's mixed, right? I'm discouraged by kind of history repeating itself. I was doing a little reading today about some of the other civil disturbances we've had through the years. And, a big percentage of them have been sparked by police violence. And I'm empathetic to the police. I understand that the police have a tough job, and they're dealing many times with violent crime, and they're dealing, even if it's not violence, they're dealing with people who are hard to deal with kind of in their day-to-day in a way that I don't have to. But you still feel like, gosh, can't we do better? I mean, that I think is a predominant feeling for me of disappointment and the sense of, here we go again. And I worry, too, that when this moment passes, not that much will change. I hope I'm wrong, but I remember back when we had Hurricane Katrina and we saw the terrible conditions in New Orleans. Everyone says, oh, this is illuminating the stark inequality in American life. And yeah, that feeling lasted for 6 months, that we were back to normal.
Yeah, all right. Well, I hope that it changes. But like you said, it does tend to happen over and over again, doesn't it? And we'll see where it ends up. But Michael Fletcher, really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.